Hello, I'm your friend Manthan from Adda Filmi Hai. Today I'm bringing you DCEU or DCU. More on that later. Their latest outing, Blue Beetles, and today we're gonna discuss what works for the movie, what doesn't work for the movie, and of course what I liked about the movie. I've got my critics over here, and I've got my analytics over here to provide me with the factual, trivial, analytical data to present it to you. Well then, what are we waiting for? Director Angel Manuel Soto directs Zolo Marjuana to lead Blue Beetles with a girl played by Susan Surandon. Yep, that's equality and feminism. Yep, great initiative. Blue Beetle takes place in a Palamara city, which is a fictional city of DCU comic books, and it is futuristic. It has its own culture, it has its own limitation, it has its own bureaucracy. Zolo plays Jaime Rice, is coming back from finishing his degree overseas, and he's coming back to Palamara City to Rice's family, and he finds out that his family has a stuck situation with financial issues, and somehow they're going to lose the house. They have already lost the shop that they had, the family shop. I'd like to take this opportunity to mention that this is a family movie, and the family in the movie will steal your heart, especially Uncle Rudy, played by George Lopez, who is a stand-up comedian, and he usually does a situation of Mexican in American culture based comedy, observational comedy. If you like him, check it out him on YouTube. Not to spoil it further, one thing leads to another, and our lead guy finds a superpower. Now here is what doesn't work for the movie. We get introduced to a guy, we get introduced to his responsibilities, we get introduced to his ambition, that what he has to do, not what he wants to do, but what he has to do in terms of supporting his family, in terms of providing for his family and saving his family's legacy, which for me it is a pretty easiest form to connect to a character that is depicted in the movie or any web series, because 95% of the world is a middle class family or working class people who just want to put food on the table. Some might want to put pizza on the table, some might want to put fruits on the table, but that's how it works. So it's an easy escape that director or movie maker can provide it to you, then you can relate to it. But throughout the movie, we just don't get connected to the our hero here. It's because we know what he has to do, but we don't know who he is or how he pursues himself. That's the thing that is like a disconnect here with the entire story. They did a good job playing off the family bit and playing off the family characters and stuff like that, but throughout the movie we just don't connect to the lead. We just don't understand his character traits, his motivation, what gets him out of that twin bed. We just don't know that. Here is a good example of how this was done back in 2014. James Gunn directing Guardians of the Galaxy with Chris Pratt's character. As soon as we get introduced to his the mass audience, where the population of the world doesn't really know who Star Lord is, only comic book geek used to know him by then. When the world get introduced to Chris Pratt's character Star Lord, he is not saying a single word for an entire minute or some. He's just dancing in a plain area, listening to his own music, and he's doing his own thing. We get to introduce to this character. Subconsciously, we know that this guy is goofy, this guy is funny, he loves music. These are the character traits that we have in ourselves. That some people love music, some people love dancing, and he's doing all those stuff, and he's not caring about his surroundings. So we get introduced to a character trait, and we didn't get introduced to his motivation, his emotion, his ambition yet, how he is perceiving himself. But we already got introduced to the character trait, so we got connected to this guy very easily, and whatever he's going to do throughout the movie, it becomes easy for us to perceive because we know that this guy is goofy. We don't get to see that in Blue Beetles. We have a disconnect from the main character. We just don't know who he is. So that's why the character falls flat, and it sort of needs saving of himself. No offense to Zolo Marjuana here, he puts in stellar performance with whatever he got. He plays his part extremely well. He gets that emotion out of the child, of the guy who has to provide for the family. He takes that very seriously, and he does a great job. But the character writing on that part is a bit faulty. I'm not going to say it's faulty, but I think there were some creative decision made in terms of how to place this movie in terms of ongoing political war of DCEU converting into DCU, people leaving and people joining, new creative heads coming on board, and that probably is the way they wanted to keep some story. They wanted to keep something. They just didn't want to provide everything at once. I think that's the whole thing, and that's what it is. Something that's why something that is not working with for the movie. Now let's talk about what actually worked for the movie. What works for the movie is the comedy. Comedy is landing here. It's a situational comedy, and George Lopez does a great job in keeping the tone lighter. He's the inevitable rudimentary comic relief that a movie has, and he does it well. I think he brought a lot of his own humor into the screenplay, and that we can actually see this. Apart from George Lopez, there are other characters in the family, the father figure, the mother, the nana, the sister. Everybody has their own characteristical traits to do, and we get easily connected to them, and they deliver a great job of fun, of emotion. They deliver a great deal of stuff that actually takes the movie forward. We also have a villain and a henchman. Villain played by Susan Sarandon. She does a great job too in playing the rudimentary bad guy, the villain for the movie. Now this is what works for the movie, and this is something that I actually like about this movie is that the guy, he actually doesn't want the superpower. He wants it to get rid of it in order for him to go back and do his normal thing. Instead, he's spit into the whole situation and he has to rise above. Sell out. What? No, I'm not sell out. I'm just barely speaking what I feel, genuinely feel about the movie. It's an honesty. Like, if I don't have my honest opinion about the movie, then what are we even doing here? Blah, 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 blah. Proof is in the pudding, okay? Ask him. He's right. He's not even performing like Flash. It's even underperforming than Flash. Regardless of your opinions, I'm going to tell my piece. This works for the movie because the stakes are personal. Hero just doesn't want to be a superhero. He just wants to be a guy that he was supposed to be, and he's not actually saving the world. He's barely saving himself and his family and trying to do the right thing. I think it's a perfect way to set up a new entry into can go bigger in future. If you look at Iron Man, that's how he started out. He didn't want to save the world. He didn't want to be a hero, but he got into the circumstances, and the first movie's stake was low, was personal. Him trying to find his own game. I'm going to give this movie 3 star, and if you like our video, hit that like button, share it to your near and dear ones, give us a subscribe, and don't forget to click on the bell icon so we can keep delivering with the latest content from our channel. Till next time, I've been Manthan.